Okay, we have over here a couple of points that in Parshas Vayishlach, a couple of crucial points. So first of all, Parak 174. So Yaakov is getting ready for this epic meeting with Esav. And we spoke about his preparations, and he bribes Esav and so on. He's sending a bribe. On page 174, if you take a look, 5 lines from the bottom. Vayakam balaylahu vayikach es shtei noshav v'shtei shifrosav v'zacharasar yolodav v'yavor es mavar yabok. Yaakov passes over this stream or river. Vayikachem v'yaverim es hanachal. He crosses them over. V'yaver es asher lo. And then vayivosar Yaakov levado. Yaakov remains alone. Vayavek yishibo adolos hashachar. A man battles with him until dawn. So this battle with this man takes place in the night. And you notice that the trouble starts when Yaakov remains alone. And the commentaries say that a Jew belongs to a community. Jews are always community-based. Please, do me a favor, close that window over there if possible. Jews are community-based. The trouble is when a Jew remains alone. A Jew is not a lone ranger. We are a part of Bnei Yisrael, part of Klal Yisrael. We are part of a community. And you go along with the community. A person does not live on his own, does not approach life his own way, and you have to be part of a community. When a Jew remains alone, you don't have the reinforcement around you that protects you. And therefore this man, who Chazal tell us is the angel, Saro Shel Esav, the ministering angel of Esav, which is the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the Malach HaMavet, he's all one. And he wrestles with this angel. And he wrestles with the angel for the night. Then it says in Pasuk Chava, Vayarki lo yacholo, the angel can't overcome him. Vayiga bekaf yerecho, he hits him in the thigh area. Vataka kaf yerech Yaakov behav koyibo. And Yaakov's thigh becomes disjointed. How does the art scroll? Dislocated. Now, this battle, first of all, this battle is a battle, you'll notice it lasts through the night. Night is always representative of exile, of Golus. It's the battle of Yaakov versus Esav through the night, the battle of Golus that we're fighting today. And the battle lasts until sunlight, and eventually the sun, which represents always something good, healing. The Gemara says even people who are not well, people who are sick, their illness is worse at night than during the day. Right? During the day, which is true. During the day, there's something healing. It says, Shemesh tzedakah umarpe, the pasuk says, the sun is healing. It's got our healing capabilities. And that sunlight represents the dawn of what do you call it, of the ultimate redemption. Number one. Number two, somebody's gonna, when you get married, somebody, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but there's no question when you get married, somebody is going to offer you well-meaning but very poor advice. What they're going to tell you is that you and your wife should never go to sleep upset with each other. Should never go to sleep when you're upset. Work it out before you go to sleep. Somebody's going to give you that advice. Usually an uncle. You know, one of those uncles, Uncle Marv, who always somehow smells like Johnny Walker. You know, and Uncle Marv's going to call you over and says, "Listen, you listen to me, kid." He's also been divorced twice, but Uncle Marv's going to call you over. You listen to me, kid. You know, when you never go to sleep upset with you. You work it out, kid. You hear me? I'm telling you, right? Good. Bad, right? Wrong, right? The best thing you can do when you're really upset with each other, go to sleep. Because at night, everything looks bleak. You're tired, she's cranky, you're gonna say something, you're gonna regret what you say, you just gotta sleep. In the morning, sun is shining, everything looks different. Half of our problems in life look different in the morning. Doesn't seem like such a big problem. You work it out in 10 minutes. A good night's sleep, a cup of coffee, you work it out in 10 minutes, meaning you apologize, right? That's how it works, right? And then everything is good. You try to work, the nighttime, everything looks bad, and everything is bleak and dark, and you're tired, you're cranky, and then it just turns into a 2-hour slugfest. And in the morning, just gotta sleep. Wake up, just say, listen, we're upset, gotta sleep. Wake up in the morning, and you got it all worked out. That's a rule in life. So Yaakov is fighting with this man through the night. Now I want to tell you something that I saw this year. I never realized this before. I always read through this. He fights the man with the night, and then there's all the symbolism of the guy hitting him and what the symbolism is, which we'll talk about in a second. One thing I've overlooked, all these years I've overlooked it. This point I saw this year, Rabbi Miller mentions. I had a guy here who told me that, in boxers have a fight. The heavyweight fights are the champion. The big heavyweights will go 15 rounds. That's considered a tremendous fight, 15 rounds. How long is each round?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long. It's not that much. It's like 45 minutes of fighting, right? Yet, it's only the heavyweight. Most boxing rounds are officially 10 rounds, right? There's officially 10 rounds, 12 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds. 15 rounds, and it seems like it goes forever. And these guys are getting clobbered, and they can barely stand up on their feet. I had a guy here who was a wrestler. He wrestled for Yeshivat University. College wrestling, you know how long college wrestling match is? It's 3 rounds, 2 minutes each. The guy said to me, each round feels like forever. It's each round feels, you're wrestling and you can't let up for a second. The 2 minutes feels like forever. Then this guy told me he was wrestling for Yeshivat University. All right, Division 3. It's not. He said that they did one time they were wrestling. He said, he did okay, but then they had to wrestle these farm boys from Kansas and Oklahoma. He said these guys were quick as lizards, strong as bears, and they didn't stand a chance. He said these guys wrapped them up like pretzels. Right? He said these guys, these are the champions. These are, this guy's from Yeshivat University. Okay, Division 1. I say he's better than me, and he's probably might be better than you. Certainly better than me. But then they meet these farm boys, right? And the farm boys, he said, were just it was ridiculous. It wasn't even a game. It wasn't even a match. But it was 2 minutes takes forever. That's why I remember the guy telling me I said, what's 2 minutes? He says 2 minutes feels like forever. You got over here a wrestling match for the entire night with a malach. That means it's agony for Yaakov. He's going a whole night of wrestling with a malach. And at some point, Yaakov Avinu must feel like, just give up and die. That's easier than what I'm going through. Rabbi Miller refers to it as torture. He's going through a torturous night with this malach, number 1. Number 2, I don't know if you guys ever read comic books. Superman. Right. Superman, I never was thrilled with Superman because you can't do anything to Superman except some green kryptonite. What's the big hock? Shooting bullets. Nothing works. I like Batman. Batman was more, it's more, got to be smart. I saw Batman, the original, on TV. When you got to punch, you're smart. Okay. Then there was somebody else that was one of the Marvel superheroes was called Flash. Remember Flash? Flash. What?
It's from DC also.
From what?
DC Comics.
It's from the Batman and Superman together.
Yeah, what they called Marvel superheroes, right? Flash. That was called, when I grew up, the comics were called the heroes were called the Marvel superheroes. They were all the comics. Yeah. Okay. So there was one episode, one comic book was the famous race between Superman and Flash, who could run around the earth fastest, and the rule was neither of them could do it, because either one could do it in a split second. So they had to run at without, they can't just go zip around, which either one could do in a split second, get around the earth at supersonic speed, something like that. That was the rule of okay. So I'm only using this example. Rabbi Miller says, he's fighting with a malach. I mean, the malach could have zapped him in the first second. But they have to wrestle a whole night with an angel. The angel could have zapped him right away. Angel's like, just zap the guy. You turn over a whole city of stone, an angel turns over the city of stone, he can zap Yaakov Avinu. What's going on here? The answer is that this is a test for Yaakov Avinu. And the test of Yaakov Avinu is to be what we're going to go through in Golus. That we have to be relentless and we have to fight. In other words, the goal isn't to kill Yaakov Avinu. The goal is to provide a test for Yaakov Avinu to test his endurance to the nth degree. How much are you going to fight? And Yaakov Avinu shows that it would have been easier to just give up already. And at no point is it one moment he gets a little careless, nope, nailed in the thigh. But ultimately it's a lesson for us that through the Golus, we're going to be tested, and we're going to be tested again, and we have to be relentless, no matter how difficult it becomes. And you'll notice that the fight is not even a fair fight. Because what's the malach trying to do? He's trying to throw Yaakov down. What's Yaakov trying to do? He's trying just to stay standing. It's a 90-degree fight. It's not a 180. It's a 90-degree fight. I'm trying to throw you down and you're trying to stand up. I'm not trying to throw you down. I'm just trying to survive. Understand the fight over here. That's our fight with the anti-Semites of the world. They try to kill us. We're not trying to kill them. We don't have any goal to go kill all the anti-Semites in the world. We're not looking to kill all the goyim. Our job is just leave us alone. Just don't put us in ovens. Right? Do your own thing. Leave us alone. That's all we want. And that represents the fight over here. He's trying to throw Yaakov Avinu down. Yaakov Avinu, all he wants to do is stay up. That's it. Just leave me alone. That's the whole fight. That's the whole battle. And that's our battle through exile. Throughout exile, that's been the battle. Leave us alone. Let us do our thing. Go you do your thing. And leave us alone. Let us do our thing. So Yaakov Avinu fights with him until Alos HaShachar. Now this guy, this Malach, nails Yaakov Avinu in the thigh. And then the Torah says over here, you'll notice, Vayomer, all right, we'll get there in a second. What does that represent that he hits Yaakov Avinu in the thigh? This is Soro Shel Esav, and he hits Yaakov Avinu. What does the thigh do for the body?
That keeps it upright.
It's a support system for the body. So the one thing that the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, fights against the most is Torah study, which is represented by Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is the consummate masmid, 14 years in the yeshiva. And the Satan, Esav's ministering angel, knows that the strength, the battery of the Jewish people, the energizing battery for the Jewish people, is Torah study. So he does everything he can to overthrow Yaakov, in other words, to weaken Torah study. That's why we always find Torah study is the most difficult thing to do. And not only that, it's got the most criticism of it. Anybody who studies Torah, people are always criticized being parasites and wasting our lives and so on and so forth, because they're being very productive while they study political science. And what do you call it? And you know, a lot of political scientists running around out there. And what do you call it? And we're wasting it. And there's always, and it's difficult and it's demanding, and you need stamina, and you got to work out another tosos. It's difficult. It's challenging. And we'll always look to do another mitzvah other than this. Anything. The Yetzer Hara will even give us mitzvahs to do as opposed to studying Torah. And it's the most difficult mitzvah to understand because it doesn't look like we're really contributing anything, because all we're doing is studying words. You know, we're studying about and half these concepts don't apply in our day-to-day life, right? And you don't own an ox and I don't own a cow, so there's not going to be goring each other, right? These things are generally not things that are going to apply that much, and you can study all about the korbanos, which we don't even have nowadays. You know, that's why it's so difficult to study Torah. And he wants to weaken the Torah study, and he can't, because Yaakov Avinu won't get thrown down. So what does he do? He goes for the next best thing, which is the support of Torah. Torah supporters, fundraising for Torah, which is the hardest thing to fundraise for. You could fundraise for hospitals, you can fundraise for Hatzalah, for soup kitchens, anything in the world, people will give you money, easily. When you fundraise for Torah, for a kollel, or for a yeshiva, or for what, to study Torah, then people, if they do give, some people are very generous. Then you always have those people who, they don't think much, they'll give you an earful, let you know what they think of your whole pursuit. You know, I don't think much of your lifestyle. I had a friend who was fundraising once for a kollel. So the guy writes him out, a very wealthy man, writes him out a check for $18. And he slides it, 18, slides it across the table and says, listen, I don't think much of what you're doing anyway, so here, take that. So the guy slid it right back to me. He says, if you're not going to give it with a full heart, I can't take it. Right? Which he didn't have a right to do, by the way. His Rosh Kollel said to him, you don't have a right to turn down the money. It's not your day. You're fundraising for the kollel. But at a certain point, it's like, and you always get, they always give you their idea, their philosophy of life. The Panovich Rav, who built the Panovich Yeshiva and had a fundraise for it, he said, whenever you go fundraising, you have to take 2 bags with you. There's a little bag and a big bag. The little bag is for the checks. The big bag is for the insults. Right? You knock on doors, this one slams the door in your face, this one yells at you, this one says you're a bunch of, you got to hear everybody's opinion. So it's a difficult thing. Where does that come? It's not natural, because he weakened it right here. Hitting Yaakov Avinu in the support system weakens the support for Torah. That's what weakens that, makes it difficult to support Torah. There's any yeshiva in the world that doesn't plead poverty. Every yeshiva in the world says is always trying scraping together their budget. Right? They're always scraping together the budget. Hospitals have plenty of money. Somebody once asked Mendel Kaplan, was my great uncle, was the Rosh Yeshiva of the Philadelphia Yeshiva. He was driving in Manhattan. And he said, why are the hospital buildings so big and the yeshiva buildings are so small? For Mendel was the Rosh Yeshiva in Philadelphia. He was in Mir in Shanghai. So he said to him, if the yeshivas would be bigger, then the hospitals would be smaller. And less people getting sick, because the Torah protects us. Right? So the idea of hitting Yaakov in the thigh is that what the Zohar calls it tamchin deoraisa. That's the expression of Zohar. He's hitting him in the tamchin deoraisa. Tamchin deoraisa means the supporters of Torah. That's why he hits him in the thigh. Okay? That's the first thing. Then it says, Vayomer shalchini ki olah hashachar. The angel says to him, send me because morning has broken. Morning has broken, right? Send me off. Vayomer lo ashalecha chakim berachtani. Right? So look at Rashi. Chav Zayin. For 176, top Rashi. Ki olah hashachar. The morning has broken. V'tzarech ani lomar shira bayom. I have to say shira. I have to say my praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now the Gemara says each malach said it once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime in the existence of an angel, he says the shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, isn't that providential? Right now, at the point of this wrestling match, suddenly this malach has to go up. It's his turn to say shira. How convenient. Listen, I'd love to keep going over here, but I got to get up to the boss now to say shira. Oh, really? This is just now. Yeah, there's no other time you could have done this, huh? And the Gemara says each malach only did it once, and his turn came right now. The answer is that the whole purpose of a malach is to provide a test. Once he's provided a test, he's fulfilled his purpose. When he fulfills his task, then it's time to say, it's not a coincidence. His task was go down and provide a test for Yaakov Avinu. Provide a test, wrestle with Yaakov Avinu. And Yaakov Avinu finished the test was finished, now it's time to go up and say shira. So it's not a coincidence at all. It's cause and effect. You finished your task, now you got to go up and now you got to say your shira because that's your ultimate task. You say shira when you have finished your purpose for whatever it is that an angel was sent for. 1 second. V'yomer lo ashelech hakim brachtani. V'yomer lo mashemecha v'yomer Yaakov v'yomer lo Yaakov v'yomer shim hakim Yisrael. Your name is going to be changed to Yisrael. Ki sarisa im Elokim v'imano shivatuchal. You've battled with im Elohim. Here Elohim means the angel. You battle with angels and man, and you're capable. So it's a prediction that later on his name is going to be changed. Yaakov's name is going to be changed. But then he says, why is it that the Sar of Esav has to get away at the crack of dawn? Why is it that the crack of dawn is he's got to get out at the crack of dawn? Why is it? No, why did Cinderella have to get back before it struck midnight? What happens at midnight? What would happen to Cinderella at midnight?
Curse.
What happened to her? Curse.
Goes back to being.
She goes back to being this maid, right? All of a sudden there's a maid. Who is it, right? I don't know, depending on which There was a Jerry Lewis movie called Cinderfella, right? But this is that was like going back a long time ago, where he's a real neb, and all of a sudden he drinks some potion and he becomes what do you call it? And then he goes back and he becomes this neb at midnight. So the what do you call it? It was called Cinderfella. So over here, the angel has to get away suddenly because it's daylight. The angel's in a panic to get away. Who's this angel? Oh, the angel is Satan. The angel is Satan. Why is he panicked to get away? Because the light means the light of truth will be exposed. And then, so we'll have to go to Gemara. Okay. So I remember I told you it's the Gemara that says, you ever turn on a light? Imagine when you're in a movie theater, a dark movie theater, and somebody turns a flashlight on the screen in the movie theater. What would happen? It'd be their last conscious act, right? Okay. Why? Because all of a sudden the screen disappears. The Gemara says that in the future, the Gemara in Sukkah on Daf Nun Beis, the Gemara says, what's going to be the ultimate destiny of the evil inclination of the Yetzer Hara? What does the Gemara say? God is going to shecht him. And everybody's going to stand around and they're going to cry. Remember we've spoken about this Gemara? The tzaddikim are going to cry and the rishayim are going to cry. Everybody's going to cry when they see the Yetzer Hara get shechted. The tzaddikim are going to cry because they say this incredible mountain of pleasure. How did we overcome this mountain? Sometimes in life when you finish something, a difficult task, and you think back about, boy, that test in school. Oh, did we study for that? Oh, was that hard? And you can start crying. just thinking about how much difficult it was to study for that test. Boy, did I work through medical school. Oh man, and you could just start crying. I would say the same thing about phys ed, but I didn't. So I wouldn't cry about that. But I would, in medical school, you could cry, thinking, boy, what we went through, right? And that's how. So the tzaddikim cry when Rashi says, thinking about the effort it took to overcome the Yetzer Hara, they start crying. Just think about that effort, the mountain, getting over this mountain of Yetzer Hara. The Rishonim are going to cry because they're going to say this thin strand of hair, a thin wisp of hair. How did we trip on this time after time? We tripped on a thin strand of hair. And so everybody's going to cry. What's the obvious question? What's the obvious question?
What about the will?
No. Why is who different?
Why mountain and why?
Either to make up your mind, it's either a mountain or a thin strand of hair. How could they see a mountain, they see a thin strand of hair? Right? What's happening here? The answer is, one of the answers, every experience in life has two stages. There's the imagination stage, and there's the experience, the actual experience stage. In the imagination stage, everything is better and more exciting, more enjoyable than it actually is. I'll give you a couple examples. When you were a kid, right, the next day you're going to the amusement park. Or when you're a little kid, you're going to go to the amusement park the next day. Couldn't sleep the night before, right?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this is going to be unbelievable, right? That I'm finally old enough. You know, last year I was too short or too young. Now I can finally get on the supersonic dinner spinner, you know, that I've always wanted to get on, right? Then you get to the park. One of two things happens. Either you're still too young, or you get on the supersonic dinner spinner and you get off nauseous and dizzy, and it wasn't that great, and you waited in line for 2 hours to get on the ride that lasted for a minute. Or it turned you upside down and your yarmulke fell off. That happens to all the frum kids on the rides. Your yarmulke falls off or money falls out of your pocket, right, while you're upside down. And then some other kid, some big shakers beat you up while you're in line because you cut him in line. You know, and you come home with a headache. It's never what it's cracked up to be. It's never quite as good as it's cracked up to be. And the same is with every pleasure in life, physical or emotional. Physical or emotional. You ever been away for your family a long time? Been away for your family a long time, and you can't wait to see your family. You've been away for 6 months, and you're on the plane, and the pilot announces, okay, fasten your seatbelts, we're going to be landing in 20 minutes, and thump, thump, thump. We're all going to be together and be so happy. And after about 10 minutes, you're ready to turn around and go back to right where you came from. Right? Yeah. Your brother's still bothering you. Your sister's in your room and she messed up your stuff. Your father tells the same jokes. And, you know, you're still, you know, just let's get it. I got it. They're hassling you again. What are you going to do? Let's go back where you came from. It's never what it's cracked up to be. Sometimes it's good, but it's not what the imagination makes it. I heard once about a couple. This couple plans their vacations. They get brochures. They plan trips, lodges, accommodations, traveling, but they never go. Because they don't want to ruin it. It's genius. It's going to be so good. I remember this happening also. We once went to Florida went away for a vacation to Florida. I remember so excited. I got on the plane. I got to Florida. Like, okay, now what? You know, sunburn. Right? That's all there was. Sunburn. The hotel wasn't as good as it was. It was a letdown, a complete letdown. The imagination seems like every experience seems like it's going to be unbelievable till you experience it. What's a tzaddik? The tzaddik is somebody who sees, ask any frum person what he thinks of, you know, they used to have a commercial on TV for the Sizzler's Steakhouse. You know, they'd have the Sizzler Steakhouse, they had a nice steak, looked good, and next to it was a baked potato, and I think crab, right? And then the guy with this real appetizing voice on the commercial, he says, if you don't get up now and drive to Sizzler's, you're not hungry. That was how the commercial went. And I remember thinking, you know, I'm not going to eat it because we only eat kosher. So I was like, Kentucky Fried Chicken, I would have, oh, my goodness, you know, until he asked the people who've had Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's okay. It's like, you know, it's not the be all and end all that it's advertised to be. McDonald's looks good. I'm sure it's not quite, you know, the frum guy who on a weak moment goes into McDonald's and finally gets a bite of that cheeseburger is like, oh, this is it? This is what all the hock is about? Right? Most of life is like that. What's a tzaddik? A tzaddik sees a mountain of temptation, and he overcomes the temptation. Now he walks away thinking that he's forfeited a mountain of pleasure. A Russia, he sees the mountain. Then he indulges. The thin stuff. Again, that? For that? I couldn't overcome that? That's the difference between the two. That means ultimately, the Yetzer Hara, it's all imagination. There's nothing there. Or very little there. It's imagination. So now I understand why he has to get away at the crack of dawn. Crack of dawn means the light of truth comes out. And the one thing that the green kryptonite for the Yetzer Hara is truth. Because if you look at him with the light of truth, then you'll see he'll be exposed for what he really is, which is not much. And therefore, at the crack of dawn, he's got to get away. So Yaakov says, give me a bracha. So he gives him a name. He changes his name to Yisrael. Now look what Yaakov says back to him. Vayishlach Yaakov, fourth line. Vayishlach Yaakov, Vayomer Hagida Nashemecha, tell me your name. Vayomer Lama Zeti Shali Shemi. Why you ask my name? Vayvorach Oso. Yaakov says, give me your name. Why do you ask my name? And that's it. Doesn't tell him his name. What does that mean? So there are two approaches. There's one approach that says, and again, we're talking about the evil inclination here. One approach says to the evil inclination, tell me who you are. The evil inclination says, what's the difference? What's the difference? You think that because you've defeated me, you've defeated the evil inclination? I have a million different names. Because if you defeated me if you defeated me when it comes to arrogance, I have a name called stinginess. And if you defeated me on stinginess, I have a name called desire. And what's the difference? In other words, you're never finished with the fight. Just when you think you've got it worked out in one area, then he nails you in another area. Oh, wow, I overcame a temptation to not eat non-kosher food. I wonder if there are any other tzaddikim like me. Boom, he just nailed you with haughtiness, with arrogance. He just nailed you with arrogance, right? I wanted to get angry and I overcame my anger. You know, there's me and Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, that's all. You know, yeah, okay. Now you're guilty of that. And then you open the door and you give money to a poor man, right? And as the poor man walks away, you turn around and snap at your wife. Why did you answer the door? You shouldn't have answered the door. Good, so you just got nailed in anger. You were in the middle of supper, she opened the door. And I was very nice to the guy because he's in my house, but I'm angry at my wife. Why'd you open the door? I told you don't open the door while I'm eating supper. So then that means, what are you asking my name for? The battle's never over. The battle is never until they take you out horizontal. Then the battle's over. But till the dying day, a person's got battles with the Yetzer Hara. A person could, on his deathbed, a person could say Shema with tremendous amount of kavanah on his deathbed, his final Kriya Shema of his life, because he's thinking about, I want people to say what a tzaddik I was after I died, that I even said Kriya Shema with kavanah. Even then, the Yetzer Hara is there, till a person's gone. Till a person's gone. You know, there's this documented story. Two women had a fight. Sisters. They had a fight. Whatever the fight was. They stopped talking to each other. Didn't talk to each other for 40 years. 40 years they didn't talk to each other. This happens. This is not uncommon. They didn't talk to each other for 40 years. Finally, Bela got sick. And Bela's on her deathbed. And she says to me, please call Chani, my sister Chani. So they tell Chani, Bela's on the way out. She wants to speak to you. I haven't spoken to you in 40 years. So Chani comes, it's documented in the Musar Sefer. Chani comes in, and she realizes, okay, Bela wants to, bury the hatchet before she dies, no pun intended. And she wants to, make peace before she dies. So Chani comes running to Bela's house. And there's Bela is on her deathbed. And Chani comes in. She says, Oy, Bela. She goes, Oy, Chani. Oy, Bela, Oy, Chani. She gets closer to her. Oy, Bela. Oy, Chani. Oy, Bela. She feels like Chani. And she wants to whisper something to her. She barely has any strength. And with her last ounce of strength, Chani bends real close. And with her last ounce of strength, Bela pushes herself up on the pillow and bites Chani on the nose as hard as she possibly could until she starts bleeding. And she collapses and says, now I could go to my grave in peace. Right? Documented story. What's his name? Revelia, the Balmusser, I forgot his last name. Revelia Lopian brings it down in a sefer. That's what a person could be if they don't work on themselves. Now I could die in peace. The Yetzer Hara is there till the end. So first he says to him, why do you ask him my name? The battle's never over. What? So I should tell you who I am. I'm Gaiva, okay? Good, you overcame Gaiva. You still got Taiva, and you still got anger, and you still got stuff. Yeah. So it doesn't help you to know my name. There's no end to it. I got a million names. Number one. Number two, one of the commentators is very clever. That is his name. My name is, why do you ask my name?
Always asking questions.
That means, why do you ask my name is when I'm facing a temptation, or I'm facing a choice in life. Think about it. Investigate it. Is this really a good thing to do? Is this going to help you grow? Is this going to help you in your Avodas Hashem? The less you think about it, the more you fall into the temptation. Why do you ask my name? Meaning, that is the temptation of the Yetzer. The temptation of the Yetzer is don't investigate. Don't think. Just do it. Right? Didn't Nike make billions on that slogan? Just do it. That's the original snake. Don't think about whether you should eat the fruit. Just do it.
Wow.
That's why that Nike swoosh, with any imagination, that Nike swoosh looks a little bit like a snake, no?
Wow.
Yeah? Just do it. I don't think Nike had that in mind, by the way. Right? I did. But just do it. Just do it. Don't think. Lama said, that is my name. Imagine this conversation. Yaakov says to Asia, what's your name? He says, why do you ask? He says, I want to know. I told you. What did you tell me? I told you my name. What is it? Why do you ask? Why do you ask? And I go around in circles over who's on first. You know, famous who's on first. You know, why do you ask? Because I want to know. I told you. What did you tell me? I told you my name. What is it? Why do you ask? That is his name. Is why do you ask? That's the name of the Malach. Is why do you ask? Don't investigate. Just do it. Okay. That's the battle of you. Yeah, go ahead. Where?
It's just a funny thing.
What is that? Just do it. That's not what's on. Just do it. But well, we had a teacher. We had a Rabbi in high school who said LSD stands for Let's Start Davening. Let's start davening. And pot stands for Put on Tefillin. That was it. Yeah. I never heard that. Yeah, that was In the old days, they used to call it pot. Now they call it weed. You know, so we have to come up for a Rashi Tevis for weed also. You know, it's something also about about learning a sugya or something. Yeah. In any event, so Yaakov walks away. Now take a look at Pasuk Lamed Beis. Yaakov walks away. Vayizrach lo hashemesh. 7 lines from the top. The sun shines. Kasher over Espinuel. Vehut solea al yerecho. Now I'm going to show you something, guys. You're going to be very, very. You're going to be thrilled. First of all, Yaakov walks away limping. And the lesson here is that if you get involved with Esav, and Esav ideals, and you get involved in Esav society, even if you think you're strong, you're going to walk away limping. One way or another, Esav society is going to have an effect on you. You get close to Esav society, get involved with Esav, you better be very strong. No matter how strong you are, you're going to end up limping away. Even Yaakov Avinu gets involved with Esav, and he limps. He's injured. He takes a beating. You get involved with foreign philosophies, and you think you're going to read them, and it's not going to have an effect on you. It will. Media, social media, whatever it is, you dabble with it a little bit, it does have an effect on us. What we hear, what we see, has an effect on us. We walk away limping. But even more than that, watch this. So you have a mitzvah. There's the third mitzvah in Sefer Bereshis. The first one is Pru, be fruitful and multiply. The second one is Bris Milah. And this is the third and final mitzvah in Sefer Bereshis, according codified by the Sefer Achinu, is that the Bnei Yisrael do not eat the Gida Nasha. The Gida Nasha is the sciatic nerve that runs down the hindquarters of an animal, and it's very difficult to take it out. We're not allowed to eat. It has no taste, no flavor, but we're not allowed to eat the Gida Nasha. It's in the hindquarters of the animal. Most Ashkenazi slaughterhouses don't even bother trying to remove it because it's not cost efficient. It's a skill because it has little branches. It branches off, sub-branches. To take it out is a skill, and plus you have to take out the forbidden fats, which are also in that area. And therefore, what most Jewish slaughterhouses, Ashkenazi slaughterhouses do, they cut away the hindquarters, just sell it to the non-Jewish companies because it's not cost efficient. I think there are Sephardi slaughterhouses that do it. There's one piece of meat, filet mignon. Is it filet mignon? That it comes from the filet mignon comes from the hindquarters. And it is possible to eat it. I think there's certain Sephardi supervisions. Most Ashkenazis do not do it simply because it's permissible. It's 100% permissible. It's just that it's very not cost efficient to hire somebody to work and do it, and therefore they get it. Okay. That being the case, it's a prohibition. We don't eat the filet mignon. This recalls the idea being that it's supposed to remind us that at the moment that we let our guard down, we become susceptible. That's why Yaakov got the injury over there. That Yaakov got the injury at that moment. There's a different opinion in the Gemara whether they enacted it now or whether it only at Har Sinai when the entire Torah was it mandatory. There's an opinion that they already at this point did not eat the Gid HaNashe. Be that as it may, it's the reminder to us, by avoiding the Gid HaNashe is a reminder to us that the instant we let our guard down, then we end up in trouble with Esav. That's the idea. Now, I want to show you something interesting. And this you have to see inside. How many fasts are there in the Jewish year? 6. Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, Tainus Esther, Fast of Esther, Tzom Gedalia, Asar B'Teves, 10th day of Teves, and Yud Zayin Tammuz. Okay, those are the 6 fasts of the Jewish year. Now watch this. Torah says, Al Kain lo yochlu, B'nai Yisrael. Therefore, the B'nai Yisrael don't eat, which obviously alludes to fasting. Okay? When don't we eat? Look at the next 2 words. The next 2 words contain all 6 fasts of the Jewish year. Aleph Taf, S, stands for 2 things. Number 1, Tisha Av, the 9th of Av. Okay, we don't eat on the 9th of Av. S, the word S. Al Kain lo yochlu b'nei Yisrael, Es Gid. The 2 words, Es Gid. The first, the S stands for Tisha Av. It also stands for, if you reverse the letters, Tainus Esther. Okay, so we don't eat on Tainus Esther. Okay, so that's 2. Gimel obviously stands for Gedalia. Yud stands for both Yom Kippur and the 10th of Teves. And Gimel, Yud, and Daled together equals 17. So you have Al Kain lo yochlu b'nei Yisrael. When don't we eat? On Es Gid, the 6 days that are represented in Es Gid. And then Hanashe Hanashe, if you reverse the letters of Hanashe, it spells out Hashana. Those are the days of the year that we don't eat. Right? It's right there. It's a cute little remez. Okay? And therefore, the what do you call it? The Torah here is telling you that this battle between Yaakov and the Sarah Shal Esav is the battle that we're fighting to this day. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. Hashem.